Hey YouTube, this is PokeDad, and today I've got a new deck centered around Mega Latios EX. Now, this Mega has not gotten a lot of love from the Pokemon community. You don't see it very much in competitive play. However, after playing with it a little bit, I found that it's actually pretty good. And to be honest with you, let me just give you a little quick story. I was playing in Pokemon League last Saturday. I was playing with my Raichu Bats deck. And one thing you gotta understand is if you play in a league, you have some people that have competitive decks. You've got little kids that are just using theme decks. And then you also have people that are somewhere in between. And so I was playing with one of my friends, and he has a decent Mega Latios deck, but it's not, it just doesn't have all the cards to compete, say in a competitive setting. But we were playing a 2 versus 2, so me and him were on teams versus 2 other guys, and I noticed that I was able to use my bats to hit for 20 and then 30 to an EX, and then when his turn came around, he was able to use Sonic Ace and hit that same EX for 120. So 120 plus 50, because from the 20 and the 30 on the bats hits 170. So it was really cool because we were able to work very well. In the meantime, my Raichu was hitting their, active Pokemon for a lot, and then my bats and his Latios were working together to knock out another EX, and we actually won that pretty soundly. So I was like, well, you know what, let's give Mega Latios a shot. And so I put this deck together, and I hope you enjoy it, guys. So Sonic Ace, this is our main attack. It only hits for 120, and you have to discard 2 energies after you attack with it. But it requires 3 energies, which is really nice. It hits for 120, and you can target any Pokemon you want. And the idea is we want to mostly target the bench. So Sonic Ace for a double dragon and 1 other energy, we can hit the bench for 120. It's pretty cool. We can target, the main targets we wanted to hit are Jirachi EX and Shaman EX, but we can also target other Pokemon that are getting charged up on the bench. And the cool thing is we don't have to even worry about the active. So if they use the active as a wall, they're going to have to either attach an energy and retreat it manually, or they're going to have some way to retreat it, and we can just be sniping the stuff that's being charged up on the bench. So Mega Latios, that attack, the Sonic Ace attack. However, we do have 4 Latios EX, and I tell you, we rarely use Light Pulse, the second attack, but Fast actually comes in very handy. And at first I was like, this is just try to donk people. But believe it or not, if you're able to hit for 40 on turn 1, and even though you may not be able to donk them, you can still hit like an EX for 40, throw in a Bat Bite, and then get Mega Latios on turn 2, and that EX that's in the active is going to be gone like on turn 2 before they've even got a chance to charge him up. So Fast Raid comes in very handy. So we use Fast Raid for 40, especially if we get turn 1. Then they attach an energy to the active. Turn 2, we get to Mega Latios, get a bat in play, bite him, Sonic Ace, and game over already. So in a way you can kind of donk even EXs with this on turn 2. So anyway, so that's Latios EX. One thing I should point out is they're both dragon types, and they are both weak to fairies. Fairies aren't real prominent in competitive play, though there are a few decks out there. So you do need to watch out for them. Alright, we do have a couple supporters now. Unlike my Skyfield decks with like Raichu and Mega Rayquaza colorless, where you play like 4 Shamans and you try to build your bench, we're just playing 1 Shaman in this deck. We just want 1 so that we can use him in case we need it for the setup ability to draw more cards. And then we also play 1 Jirachi EX. Now when Jirachi rotates, we'll probably play, you might want to play 2 Shamans in this deck, but stellar guidance just to be able to grab a supporter, and 9 times out of 10 that's a draw support. But you could pick up a Lysander, and in this deck I'll talk to why Lysander is more important than most other decks. Now along with that, we have our bats that help us take on our opponent. Bats also do a lot of sniping, so we have the 3-3-2 line of Zubat, Golbat, Crobat. Now Zubat doesn't do anything special for us, but when we evolve to Golbat, Sneaky Bite allows us to put 2 damage counters on one of our opponent's Pokemon. So 20 with Golbat, and then the next turn we can use evolve into Crobat using Surprise Bite and put 3 more damage counters on one of our opponent's Pokemon. So if we have 20 plus 30, so 1 Golbat, 1 Crobat, and then 1 Sonic Ace, we're now hitting for 170, and that's knockout on most EXs. And that's basically the idea. We're just trying to get quick knockouts on the bench, so we snipe. Now if we need to knock out the active, we can, but mostly we're just trying to take out the bench as quickly as possible. One other thing to point out is, though, and this is something that people forget, even though Mega Latios is probably on the HP side a little bit lighter than other Megas, 120 HP is nothing to joke about. I mean, it's very hard to get a one-hit knockout on Mega Latios, and so because of that, we can get 2, sometimes 3 attacks before we even lose our first Mega Latios. So Mega Latios is still pretty stout, in spite of it being a little bit light Mega side. Okay, so let's go right into the items. We play 1 computer search. That's just for consistency. We play 3 Mega Turbos. Now this is really good. In fact, you really don't want to attach the Cycle of the Water if you can help it. It's better to actually discard them with the computer search or Ultra Ball or Sycamore, and then we can Mega Turbo those back on when we need them. So we play 3 Mega Turbos. This just helps us. If we have a double dragon attached, and we can Mega Turbo one of the others on, and then take out that bench Pokemon and keep moving on. So Mega Turbo, we play 3 of those. I would like to put 4 in here, but there just is so much in here that we don't have a lot of space for it. So we play 3, but by all means, if you play this deck, you feel free to play 4. We play 2 Repeat Balls and 3 Ultra Balls. Repeat Balls are very useful to help us get bat lines out. So if we have like 3 bats down, and then we have a Golbat, we can use Repeat Ball and grab another Golbat. Or if we need another Crobat, let's say we've already got a Crobat on line down, but we want to get another Crobat, Repeat Ball allows us to do that without having to discard any cards from our hand like Ultra Ball. Now Ultra Ball is going to be used mainly to get our Latios or our Mega Latios, or if we need to grab Shaman or Jirachi, it can be there for us. We don't play any switching cards like Switch or Escape Rope, but we do play Scoop Ups. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is on Mega Latios, he actually has no retreat, so there's no real reason to put Hydreigon EX in this deck, because he's going to be retreating for free anyway. If he has a lot of damage, we can either scoop him up, we can always scoop up a Shaman or Jirachi to reuse it, or we can scoop up our bat line to reuse those. So that's why we play 3 super scoop ups. If you don't have a computer search, then the ace spec I do recommend you use is Scoop Up Zone. Just because you need it to get your bats back, or to get one of these, or to refresh your Mega Latios. Alright, then comes the card that I really love. It's not used in many decks, but in this deck it can be very useful. It's Target Whistle. Put a basic Pokemon from your opponent's discard pile onto his or her bench. When people play Skyfield and then we change the stadium, they oftentimes put Shamans and Jirachis into the discard pile. Well, when they put their Skyfield back up, you can Target Whistle a Shaman EX or a Jirachi EX back onto their bench, and then Sonic Ace it and knock it out. So Target Whistle can be useful We play 2 of these just because we sometimes want to get those Pokemon that we're trying to target back on the bench and end the game quickly. And believe me, this card will end games quickly in certain circumstances. We play 3 VS Seeker just because we use our supporter line and with 3 Spirit Links. So for the Mega Latios. Now let's talk about supporters. We play 4 Sycamore. That's just standard. He allows you to draw 7 cards after you discard your hand. However, sometimes he can be troubling because when you draw 7, you might end up having to discard some stuff. But he does give you a reboot of your hand, especially if you get a bad start. We play 2 Ends. End allows us to draw 6 cards at the beginning because you shuffle your hand into your deck and then draw the cards for the number of prizes you have left. So at the beginning it can be at the end if your opponent is head. It can cause them to reduce cards in their hand and give you a chance to make a comeback. Play 1 Colress just because many Skyfields playing now, it makes sense to play a Colress and get big hands, 13, 14, 15, even 16 cards in your hand. We play the 1 AZ, and again that's kind of like this Scoop Up Cyclone to help us recycle our bats or to grab our Jirachi or Shaman and reuse it. And then of course with VS Seeker we can actually use AZ if we need to. So it's kind of like having potentially 7 switching cards here. Lysander, I skipped over Lysander. Lysander is very different in this deck, okay? Normally we want to Lysander something to the active so we can knock it out. In this deck though, we want to use Lysander as a stalling tactic. So we take the Lysander and we want to bring up something that has a high retreat cost with very little energy on it, so that they can't attack us, or they're either going to have to use a switching card or they're going to have to do something, power it up and then retreat it. It's a way to get them to waste resources on something that they don't really want to use the resources on. Meanwhile, their active Pokemon that has all the energy goes to the bench, and we can Sonic Ace it and bite it with the bats. So Lysander is not used to Lysander up what you need. It's actually used to Lysander up what you don't need or what you find least menacing at that point in time. Alright, so let's move right on to stadiums. So for stadiums with 3 Silent Labs. Now I know I'm playing Jirachi and Shaman, and actually in one of the battle videos I have Jirachi in hand, but I played the Silent Lab the turn before and I wasn't able to use the Jirachi. So it is a little bit counterintuitive because we won't be able to use Shaman or Jirachi. However, we're only playing a small fraction of our deck using these 2. So Silent Lab allows us though to save time from other Shamans. There's a lot of Skyfield decks right now, and when they play a Shaman down, they get more cards, and so we want to prevent them from being able to do that. We actually want to clog those cards into their hand, so that they're either going to have to A, use Sycamore and discard them, or B, just decide to hold them. If they do play Sycamore, then that's why we have Target Whistles. We can get them on their bench without them getting the effect of setup or of Stellar Guidance. And so Silent Lab helps slow that down. Now as far as the energy, play 3 Psychic and 3 Water, simply because, and really this we might want to go with more Psychic here just because fast raid. You could go 4-2. I know some people that even just go 6-0 Psychic and they're just going to rely on the Double Dragon energy. However, if you run into Aegislash, you do need to have some water energy to do the Sonic Ace. So it just makes sense I just like to split it 3-3. And yes, sometimes that might mean I miss out on a fast raid. But in the end, most of our work is going to come from the Double Dragon energy anyway. So that's we play 10 energies, 3 of the Psychic, 3 Water, and 4 Double Dragon. Anyway guys, that's it for the deck profile. This is actually, again, I don't know if it's competitive. Nationals is right around the corner, so I don't even know if we'll see a deck like this. but I will say it is actually quite fun once you get the hang of it, and it can also cause your opponent to really have to think how they're going to proceed, because if you're sniping everything on their bench, then they're going to have to decide where their energies are best utilized, and it just really makes them have to think twice. Anyway guys, give this deck a try. Hope you enjoy it. Hit like, subscribe if you haven't already. Remember, we do have a contest going on till August 12th, so I have the link below detailing how you can get involved with that. Give me comments. Tell me what you think of this deck. Do you like Mega Latios? What would you change about this deck? And what do you like most about this deck? So anyway, put those comments in the comment section down below, and we will talk to you later, guys. This is PokeDad signing off.